There comes a time in every boxer's life where he sees his friend get beaten to death by a Russian guy inside of 2 rounds. During that fight, Apollo Creed, my friend, former heavyweight champion of the world, and the man who passed away, grasped me by my lapels, which is a feat in itself given he was wearing boxing gloves, and kept saying, gasping really, through a mouth so bruised and battered, it's a miracle he could talk, not to stop the fight. He specified, I not stop the fight even if he was being beaten to death while begging, screaming for mercy. And so I didn't. I watched as each punch drew him a step closer to heaven's pearly gates. I listened as his cries of anguish became soft whimpers of agony as organs were ruptured by the pounding of a Russian. But I didn't stop the fight. In retrospect, it's weird the ref didn't try to stop the fight earlier. Obviously, I wasn't going to stop it because a promise is worth more to me than any life, but you'd think the referee would want to stop it, being that it was an exhibition match. Anyway, Apollo Creed is dead now. A former heavyweight world champion literally punched to death by a roided out Russian so unused to professional boxing. I actually saw his corner man reminding him the mouth guard wasn't a mint and he shouldn't eat it this time. Rest in peace, my sweet angel. Ivan Drago, a man whose name is literally one step off from Dragon, was the man who wanted to fight me, and I knew I'd be in trouble. I was roughly equal to Apollo Creed after all, and I realized my skills weren't up to snuff. Unlike Creed, I had no desire to meet my maker after a particularly brutal pounding from a Russian so tall his flat top is maintained by the press of his skull against ceilings. I went back home where I have a robot which is apparently possessed of full AI to the extent it performs household chores like you'd see from something out of the Jetsons. This may lead some to believe it would lead to a fundamental shift in the world to a cataclysmic degree such that the world economy has changed irreparably, but you'd be a fool because it changed nothing. Although, in all fairness, it has impacted my personal life because it keeps making fun of me for having a small head and keeps calling me Ricky, which I'm not a fan of because that's not my name. Regardless, once I was home, I reflected on myself and my skills and got berated by my wife about how the fight would be pointless because of how strong Ivan Drago is. I told her I was cool with dying, but he wouldn't be, therefore I could win. Some would point out this is the exact attitude Apollo Creed has. To those people, I say, nah, I'll be fine. After I went through a reflective montage, I confirmed I needed to go train in Russia. I arrived in the freezing cold country with Duke, Apollo Creed's former trainer, who kept telling me Apollo was like a son to him. So in a way, if you think about it, my refusing to throw in the towel on behalf of Apollo kind of makes me directly responsible for killing Duke's son. Makes you think. Regardless, I trained in the best way I know how, frolicking about in the snow and doing chores like chopping firewood. My wife comes to visit me in Russia, but my child doesn't, so I know who my favorite family member is. I asked her about this, and she just said that Robert, my son, had been persuaded by the robot to call them Daddy instead of me, and that he no longer recognized me as his father. Also, she kept calling me Ricky the whole time, which I'm not a fan of because that's not my name. The time comes for the match, I step into the ring and get introduced, and the crowd is booing me, which hurts my feelings. The bout starts, and I can tell Ivan Drago is very well trained because he's aiming for the most vulnerable part of my face, the mouth. However, my corner man tells me no pain over and over, and eventually something clicks. I should fight back. I give it a go, punching him like he punches me. This enables me to win, and everyone is amazed. Who'd have guessed the boxing heavyweight champion of the world would have managed to beat an amateur boxer? I then give a speech which was kind of a metaphor for Soviet-American relations. I'm not sure I suffered a lot of head trauma from Drago punching me real hard, but I guess everyone must have liked it because they were all cheering my name. Even though they kept calling me Ricky the whole time, which I'm not a fan of because that's not my name. As an aside, I really hope I don't suffer PTSD from my fight with him for decades in the future because I'm not sure I'd like that much.